Hey everyone, it's me, Greg, once again, doing the Skull Mug. It's been a long time since I did an installment in this series just because I took a bit of a break from drinking and haven't really had all that much to talk about because life has been super hectic and I've just been constantly busy. But I'm back to it and I am ready to make some more episodes. I got a whole bunch of beers down in the fridge that I am excited to try out. Some of them I've already tried before. But I just came back from vacation in the Maritimes, or Atlantic Canada at large. I went to New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and also Newfoundland this year for Heavy Newfoundland Festival 2024, which is a festival that I help run. And in my journeys, I decided to pick up quite a few craft beers on the way. Some of them are from Newfoundland, some of them are from Nova Scotia, and I got two of them from New Brunswick as well. So we're going to start off with some of them from Newfoundland, starting with this delicious Creamsicle Ale. Hopefully it's focused, I can't really tell on this camera. So yeah, this is called the, Creamsicle Ale. It's from Bootleg Brewing Co. in Corner Brook, Newfoundland. It's an orange and vanilla cream ale. The bottom here says keep cool, enjoy fresh. And what does it say on the back? The origin of the name cream ale is a bit of a mystery, but as the story goes, American brewers trying to mimic European lagers were making smooth, clean ales. One brewer thought the word cream sounded and looked delicious. He simply named his beer this for marketing purposes. We decided to make our version extra creamy. Vanilla and orange make this easy drinking ale taste like a creamsicle. Enjoy. And it's 4.5% alcohol volume. And there actually is not a list of ingredients on here, which is kind of odd. You know, usually these beers will have that, but I presume that it's not much more than some orange flavored stuff and, you know, the typical wheat, hops, etc. So let's crack it open. And like right from the get-go, the second that you open this thing, it immediately smells just like a creamsicle popsicle, which when I was a kid, I used to love those. I was addicted to them. They were my favorite ice cream. So getting a beer that tastes identical to them, that's a real treat. And it's certainly a nostalgia trip as well. Oh. Man, that was so good. That is utterly delicious. Holy shit. I feel like I could drink nothing but these for the rest of my life and I would be very content with that. It's not the first creamsicle ale I've had. I've had others before, but as far as I'm concerned, this is the best one that I've ever had before. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a newfie and I feel like, you know, I have to represent my fellow countrymen or whatever. I'm saying it because I genuinely believe this is the best one I've ever had. But now that that's out of the way, and again, I would highly recommend this. It's the Creamsicle Ale from Bootleg Brewing Co. in Corner Brook, Newfoundland. If you ever go there, highly recommend it. What I wanted to talk about today was simply my vacation, because it was fucking awesome. So I traveled down to Newfoundland alongside my partner Artemis, who is a very lovely person and incredibly talented artist. Their Instagram handle is @plantgenitals. If you want to check that out, that's @plantgenitals. Very talented visual artist, very talented tattoo artist, and yeah, I love them to death. They're great. So we decided to, instead of, you know, usually flying down to Newfoundland, which is how I often get there, we would drive. Because they're from Nova Scotia, and we decided, oh, let's go stop in and see your family and your friends and stuff and make a whole little trip out of it. So we left on July 14th, and we went down through New Brunswick first. We stopped to see the world's biggest axe, which is in Nicowick, New Brunswick, and when it's, you know, they say it's the world's largest axe. It is indeed the world's largest axe. It is fucking huge. And it's actually made out of metal. I thought it was just going to be like, you know, a stone or wooden sculpture, and it's actually metal, which is impressive. Not very sharp, though, for obvious reasons. And it was a 9 to 10 hour drive from Montreal down to Moncton, where we stopped in to see some of Artie's friends, and that was really nice. And then we went to Amherst to see their parents. So that was super cool. The night before, I had played a show, and I was out until like almost 3 a.m. So we woke up around 7, but in all honesty, I got maybe about 2 hours of sleep. So word of advice, if you are into traveling, driving 10 hours after 2 hours of sleep fucking blows. Don't do that shit. It sucks. By the time we got to Amherst, I was like almost hallucinating. But we got there safe and sound. It ended up being fine. We had a whole bunch of wine with their family, and then we passed out. The day after, we went and checked out this beach called Northport Beach, which is all just red sand, and it's covered in hermit crabs and oysters, two creatures which I had never seen in the wild before because they just don't exist in Newfoundland. These are species that are native to Nova Scotia. They are not around where I grew up at all. So I got to see a hermit crab for the first time in real life, and I was surprised by how cute they are. They have these just little beady black eyes, and they run really fast, and they're just very curious and also skittish creatures. And the fact that this beach was made entirely out of red sand and it stretched on for a really long time was also super cool. I've never seen a beach that looked quite like that. The day after that, we kept on driving down to the ferry. We stopped in to see one of Artie's friends in Antigonish. We also stopped into Oxford to see the Oxford Blueberry Man, which is a very strange-looking giant statue of a blueberry with anthropomorphic features. Like, it has a face, and it used to have arms, and it used to have feet, but it currently does not have arms or feet, probably because people thought it was too freaky. But it's a very strange statue, and it's there because Oxford is the blueberry capital of Canada. It's one of the biggest exports of Nova Scotia, actually. We also saw a herd of buffalo on the way down there, which I thought was super, super strange. Not something I'm used to seeing out that way. But it turns out that it was in a farm. Of course, they were being farmed for the wheat. We get to the ferry, and our ferry was originally scheduled to leave at 11:45 in the morning, at night, and it got rescheduled to 8 p.m. instead. Now, this is an 8-hour ferry ride. So every time I've taken the ferry, I'm used to arriving in Newfoundland around 7 a.m. So, I'm tired, bleary-eyed, but I can drive. Because it left at 8 p.m. instead, we got into Newfoundland at 4 o'clock in the fucking morning. So we were both dead tired. We had slept, again, maybe 2 hours. So, slept 2 hours one night, got a decent night's sleep the next night, then 2 hours again. Not great. And also it was pitch black, At least usually when I arrive in Newfoundland from the ferry, the sun is up, but it was just dark. Couldn't see shit. So we drove about half an hour outside Port aux Basques, and then we ended up camping in the Wreck House, which, for those of you who don't know, is an area on the west coast of Newfoundland where the wind is super, super strong, but there's also a little campsite like off the main highway there. So we stopped and we slept for maybe like 2 or 3 hours extra, and then woke up and we just kept driving until we got to Corner Brook. And while we were at Corner Brook, we met up with my buddy Rain, who gave us a cave tour. That was super, super cool. I didn't even know there were caves in Corner Brook, but we got about halfway through the cave and their headlamp kept giving out, and they were like, "Oh, it'll be fine, like we can keep going," and we were both just kind of like, "Nah, I don't think this is it, because there's no light in here and we can't see shit, and if your headlight gives out, then we're kind of fucked, unless someone else rolls through, and I don't want to take that chance." So we turned around and went back out. After that, we kind of just chilled in Corner Brook for a bit more. We went and got some drinks at Bootleg, which I actually tried this beer at that place before making this video, so I have had it before, and it's part of the reason I chose to make this video first before doing the rest of it. Because it's damn good, and I just wanted a beer. So we left Corner Brook sometime in the evening. We drove perhaps about 3 or 4 hours, something like that, until we got to Gander Lake. And we could have kept driving to get to Glovertown where my parents are, but we decided just to stay at where we were in Gander Lake, and I'm very glad that we did because it was a great time. We camped in the van. It was super sick. We caught some toads. We caught some extremely big toads that were like, this big. I've never seen toads in Newfoundland that were that size before, so that was quite eye-opening. We also found a fucking bear skull just like sitting on a rock on the beach of the lake. It looked as if someone had just taken it and just put it there. It was completely calcified, not calcified, but it was all the flesh had rotted away. It was just bone. It was only it was missing a tooth, so it only had one tooth. But aside from that, it was like pretty much the full top half of the skull. The lower jaw was missing. So we slept there. The next morning, woke up. It was absolutely beautiful. The fog was in full effect. Couldn't see more than maybe like 15 meters in front of me. And as the morning kept going, while I was waiting for Artie to wake up, the fog started rolling off of the lake, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. There were a crazy amount of dragonflies around, like more dragonflies than I've ever seen in one place, which caused me to look up what is a group of dragonflies called, and it's called a flight. So yeah, there was a huge flight of dragonflies just around everywhere. 3 of them ended up landing on Artie, which was super cool, all at once. I have some pictures of that on, I don't think they're on my Instagram at the moment, but they will be soon, eventually. I have so many photos from this trip that I need to upload. After that, we kept driving, drove past Glovertown, trying to get to St. John's. Got to St. John's. We crashed at my buddy Peter's place for the whole weekend, and we just kind of went to some bars and basically just got drunk and chilled for most of the night. The day after that, I took Artie up to see Signal Hill, which was, that's like a St. John's staple. You can't not do that. You have to go to Cabot Tower. It's like the #1 tourist destination spot. And then after that, we went to Cape Spear, which is the easternmost point in North America. It just juts out into the ocean. The waves are fucking insane. There is an old historic lighthouse there with a museum and an art gallery that you can check out. And there's a walking path that goes along it. There's also the remains of an old World War II era battery with it still has guns, like artillery cannons that are aimed out at the ocean that you can like climb around and stuff. It's all around a very, very sick spot that I would highly recommend anybody check out. After that, it was time to go to the Rock House because I was here for the festival. So the first night of Heavy NFLD Fest 2024 was at the Rock House. There were supposed to be 7 bands on Friday and 7 bands on Saturday, but one of the bands ended up having to get moved from Saturday to the Friday night, so there were 8 bands on Friday instead. So we had Bog Rot, The Tangerine Machine, Mantra, Vertebraker, Of the Black, who was after that? Sons of an Eastern Moon, Hag, and the Birchmen. Unbelievably stacked lineup. Half of the bands I'd never even seen before. In fact, I think, 7 of the 8 bands I had never seen before. Sons of an Eastern Moon was the only one. No, that's a lie. The Birchmen. I'd also seen the Birchmen as well. So 6 of them I had not seen before. And I was genuinely shocked that every single band fucking killed it. They were all just on fire, unbelievably good, just on point. Incredible performances from them all. Bog Rot was just heavy and crushing and ugly and disgusting. It just sounded like really early Nirvana or like the Melvins. It's that kind of like sickly sludge metal that isn't like sickly in an I hate God way. It's sickly and just like, this is gross, ugly music for gross, ugly people, and I loved it. The Tangerine Machine, which is my buddy Evan's new band, they actually haven't performed live in 5 years, so seeing them live was super, super cool. They're kind of just like a hard rock, alternative rock band with like some really heavy riffs here and there. Kind of like, I feel like I would describe them as like the Tragically Hip meets like like maybe Pearl Jam if you turned the amps up to 11 and every riff was way heavier. It's like, I don't know, it's like really heavy dad rock, and I fuck with that shit a lot, so they were super cool. They also did 2 covers. They did Square Hammer by Ghost, and they did Prehistoric Dog by Red Fang, so that should give you an idea as to how they sound. And it was really cool to see them live, just to get to see my buddy Evan again. After that, Mantra was super, super cool. I honestly wasn't a huge fan of their debut album. I thought it was okay, but I thought it could have been better. But seeing them live was, it completely turned me around on them. They're just fucking incredible. Really, really talented musicians. Very, very talented live performers as well. Excellent vocals, excellent songwriting, just all around the full fucking package. Great stage presence too. After that, it was Vertebraker, who, you know, there's like some St. John's metal scene alumni in this band. There's John Cooper, who's a friend of mine, excellent guitar player, as well as Mike Malloy, who used to play in Mutank. Both of them fantastic fucking ripping guitar players, and their music is just unbelievable. I thought they could have, you know, had maybe a little bit more stage presence, but just being there for these like old school, just straight up no bullshit thrash rippers was all that I wanted. Of the Black was up next, and they're a hardcore band, which made them a little bit of an outlier on this lineup, but incredible stage presence and charisma from them. They just totally were on fire for their entire set. Sons of an Eastern Moon, I was thoroughly impressed by. They've had a bit of a lineup change recently, so they have a new drummer with Alex Wells and a new secondary guitar player with Angus McKenzie, who I found out is also from Glovertown, even though like I never knew this guy when I was growing up. He's like 5 or 6 years older than me, so I guess that makes sense. But yeah, he told me he was from Glovertown, and it totally shocked me. But yeah, they had a bit of a lineup change, so I thought, you know, oh, I don't know what they're going to sound like, but those 2 guys fit into the band perfectly. They were so tight. They were absolutely on fire. And their singer, Thor, when I first saw Sons of an Eastern Moon and heard them like way back in the day when I still lived in St. John's, I kind of thought, you know, the vocals are I like this style. It's like 3 Inches of Blood shit, but he doesn't have that much control over his voice. He's improved so fucking much. Like, this guy he's on another level now. And it makes me really excited to hear what Sons is going to do in the future. Hag, I'd never seen live. They also have not performed in like 6 years, and they were everything that I wanted. They performed the songs from their record like pitch perfect. It was fantastic. They're easily one of the best bands in St. John's, so getting to see them live was a real treat. And the same can be said for the Birchmen too. You know, they're like kind of Mastodon Mastodon-esque sort of stuff, like sludge metal, progressive sludge metal, but again, not like the I Hate God style sludge metal, more like the kind of modern, like major label shit, like, you know, Mastodon, Baroness, Torch, Kyleza, like they're in that camp. And getting to see them again was fucking awesome. I just wish people had stuck around to see them, because they're another band that hasn't performed in a million years. And getting them on this bill was just another absolute treat. The next day was, we were back at the Rock House again, and we had Desperta, who are like my favorite St. John's punk band. They're absolutely fantastic. You need to check out their self-titled record, which came out last year. It's amazing. And then there was Smoke Signals, classic, legendary St. John's hardcore band, and Precious Blood, who are a newer band, but are also like, I don't know, they're like a shining example of exactly what Newfoundland heavy music has to offer. It's kind of like Dillinger Escape Plan meets Cancer Bats, is how I describe them. And then we had our 3 touring bands from Halifax and Cape Breton. There was Hell's Reach and Thousand Knives, who are from Halifax, and then Fear and Filth, sorry, didn't want to forget their name, who are from Cape Breton. And all 3 of those bands were absolutely crushing. Okay, so I wasn't paying attention to the time, and I don't know what the last thing I said was. but I'm just going to soldier forth as if I didn't stop talking. So on Monday, we stuck around in St. John's, went to a horror movie screening from Fog Fest from the guys from Grindmine. Monday, went out to Glovertown, hung out with my parents, went for a walk around Ken Diamond Park. Already had never seen a pitcher plant before, so her getting to see one of those in real life was super cool. Also saw a bunch of insects and shit, and I'm really into that kind of thing. Went for a ride at the bay in my dad's boat, which was fucking awesome because being in Montreal, I hardly ever get to do that. So anytime I go to Glovertown, if I have the option to go out in the boat, I will take it. Then we went and hung out with my friend Aaron. We drove into Gander. We got some Mary Browns because I cannot go to Newfoundland and not eat Mary Browns because it's hardly anywhere here on the mainland. It's a ritual at this point, and I just kind of, I gotta do it, The day after that, we started driving back to the West Coast. That was about a 6-hour drive, and we ended up stopping into Corner Brook, meeting up with Rain again, having a beer at Bootleg once again. And then we went down to the ferry. This time, it left on time. It was scheduled to leave at 11:30, and it left at 11:30, thank fuck. After that, when we were on the ferry, there was this really annoying part where, everyone's sleeping in this kind of big seating area because you can pay for a cabin, but it's way too fucking expensive, so most people don't do it. Most people just sleep in their chair. So you have this entire open area, seating area, and there's this one kid that it was crying in 45-second intervals. So it would cry and cry and cry, and then would stop for 2 minutes, and then it would cry again. And this perpetuated for an hour and a half before the dad fucking picked up the kid and brought it out of the room. I was so livid, and once again slept maybe about 2 hours. If you got a kid and it's screaming and it doesn't shut up for 10 minutes, take your fucking kid out of the seating area and go elsewhere because there's 100 other people in this room that are trying to sleep, and everyone's fucking pissed at you. So please, for the love of fucking God, take your kid out, or some of us want to punt that kid over. I shouldn't say. Anyway, forgot I said anything. After the ferry ride, we were back in Nova Scotia. We spent a lot of time in Cape Breton. That was really, really cool. Cape Breton is a very, very beautiful spot. There's a lot of similarity to the west coast of Newfoundland, obviously because they're very close together. We ate at the Dancing Goat, which is a cool cafe that I went to last year when I was on tour in the region. They're notable for having their scones. They're very good, and they were out of fucking scones, which really disappointed me. But whatever. So we kept on driving, and we made it back to Amherst. We spent some more time with Artie's parents. Then after that, the night after, we went to Joggins Beach, Joggins Fossil Cliffs. I've never seen a place like this before in my life. It was unbelievably beautiful. It's part of the Bay of Fundy, so it's got the most dramatic tide in the world, part of which is because of the shape of the bay, and part of it is because the decline from the shore going into the water is so gradual that the water just kind of goes on out, and it goes on out and on out and on out, and you can walk on out there, and you're basically walking on the sea floor, and it's all mud, but it only goes down about this far, so it's definitely difficult to walk in, and it's mucky and dirty, but you won't sink in it. It's not like it's quicksand or anything. And we spent hours on this beach just kind of walking around in the mud, looking for fossils. We did actually find some. We found a fossil of some tree bark and another fossil of what I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's some kind of plant, some kind of shell. I'm not sure, because it was just kind of an indent in the rock. It wasn't an actual shell that had been fossilized. That was awesome. Saw a hawk, saw some European green crabs, which are an invasive species in Nova Scotia. Obviously, they're European. They're not from North America. Yeah, I cannot get over just like how beautiful and surreal that location is. If you ever get a chance to go to Joggins Fossil Cliffs, you need to do it because it is unlike anything I've ever seen before in my life. It's just gorgeous and super surreal. It looks like an alien planet. So the day after that, we went to, no, this was the same day actually, went to Moncton to visit Artie's friends again. Artie's friend Sue is a tattooist, so Artie got a tattoo from them. And I also got a tattoo. I don't know if I'll be able to show it on camera, but here it is. It's this little moth guy in between my candle and the Witch King's mace. Very, very satisfied with it. As you can see, I still got the second skin on there. But yeah, that's coming along nicely. I was very stoked to get a tattoo to commemorate this trip. So after that, we drove out to Miramichi, where my friend Billy from the Shred Shed wanted some merch from me. So we dropped off some merch to him. I gave him an Oceanic Heritage cassette, as well as a Rat Piss t-shirt and a whole pile of stickers. By that point, it was like 10 p.m. and we had a 3-hour drive to Edmundston. Because that was going to be where we camped, so that the drive the next day was going to be shorter. Because from Miramichi to Montreal, it's probably like 8 hours, and I did not want to drive 8 hours. We had originally planned to come back on the Sunday, but we wanted to, like, give ourselves an extra day to, like, chill and collect ourselves before having to go back to regular work. I gotta work tomorrow as of the shooting of this video, which I'm not looking forward to. But yeah, so we drove 3 hours, got to Edmundston, we camped in this really nice little spot that's like off the highway. Very cool, very just nice to be like next to a city, but like not quite in it, and still feel like you're in nature. I feel like that's a very rare thing to experience, but Edmundston isn't exactly that big, so I guess I'm not entirely shocked. Woke up the next morning, saw a woodpecker, which was really cool. Went into town, ate some food, and then hit the road 5 hours back to Montreal. Got home, and here I am. It was an amazing time. It was honestly one of the best vacations I've ever been on. I absolutely adore the Maritimes. I adore Newfoundland and Atlantic Canada as a whole. But I think on this trip, I really, really fell in love with Nova Scotia, because I've never really gotten to like explore Nova Scotia before. It's always been a place that I just kind of drive through and stop in, and I've been to Halifax. I spent several days in Halifax exploring that city, but most cities are the same. Getting to actually explore what Nova Scotia as a province, as a region, has to offer was really, really cool, and I really, really want to go back there and see all the stuff that I didn't get to see. And the same goes for Newfoundland, I got a bit emotional when I was there because I do honestly miss my home. It's where I'm from, but it's also a place where there's very little opportunity, so I can't see myself ever wanting to move back, but it's why I at least try to go back to visit frequently, or as frequently as I can. But yeah, once again, I'm just going to shout out Creamsicle Ale from Bootleg Brewing Co. in Corner Brook, Newfoundland. Awesome brewery. I love the guys who work behind the counter there. They're really cool. Love this beer. This Creamsicle Ale is fucking delicious. Highly recommended from me. And yeah, that's been my detailing of what happened on my Newfoundland vacation. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, peace out.